See you guys. ها طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. طيب تفضل حمزة.
بارك الله فيك يا شيخ. Let's say for Ramadan when you're fasting and you have the miswak, and what's your view on miswaks and using toothbrushes?
Can a person use miswak or brush his teeth while he's fasting? Simple answer is yes, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And the hadith states, قَدْ أَكْثَرْتُ عَلَيْكُمْ فِي السِّوَاكِ. The Prophet ﷺ spoke about the siwak, its virtue, its importance, using it in abundance, without excluding a time, a season, one act of worship without another act of worship. So therefore the siwak, not only is it permissible in Ramadan whilst fasting, but it is highly recommended. And bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, hopefully the same ruling will apply to brushing your teeth without toothpaste. Not saying that it's haram to brush your teeth with toothpaste, not saying that, but saying the sheer act of just brushing your teeth, scrubbing your teeth, scratching without, scratching the enamel, your teeth, whether it's with a siwak, a toothpick, a tongue thingy, a toothbrush, etc. It's the same thing. It's just a different material. All right? Is it lawful to brush your teeth with toothpaste whilst fasting? Inshallah, as long as you make sure that you get all the toothpaste out of your mouth, you're sure that you've made a good, thorough rinsing. Khayran. Safe to avoid, you want to be on the safe side, la bas. Especially due to the fact that many toothpastes, commercial toothpastes, are full of sweeteners. Some you take, some toothpaste is like candy, literally. It's super duper sweet, right? And you go to other brands, whatever the brand may be, Tom's or whatever else, other types of, out-of-the-box brands, organic brands, whatever the case may be, and it's a world of a difference. Let alone if you brush your teeth with toothpaste in a different country. And you find how sugary American toothpaste is. So the siwak obviously isn't like Crest or Colgate or Aim or Arm & Hammer or what are the other brands that you use that are oftentimes super-duper sugary. But for argument's sake, if you rinse out your mouth, inshallah khair. Dental hygiene is very important. Wallahu alam. Fadal Faz.
No disrespect, let me get in one, please. What is the ruling on rubbing liniment or ointment on your skin for muscular aches and pains?
Rubbing ointment on your skin, on your body for muscular aches, muscular pain, so on and so forth. Does it break the fast? I would say no. Even if your skin or your body makes some type of absorption or, it's not the same. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
So the answer of the question was, like somebody goes to physical therapy and they give him a B12 vitamin injection or something.
Different story.
What would that,
The body taking the vitamins. Wallahu alam. Fadal, Hamza.
What about using?
Mika, cut that off, please.
What about using miswak and getting the juices inside the miswak?
Next question.
and just so this AJ from
Faisal.
Yes, I wanted to ask, when you're going to do Umrah during this the niyyah when you pass the miqat, right? You have to go straight to Umrah, like straight, no hotel stoppage, no shower. You have to make the shower from home, like for example, New York.
When you're traveling to make Umrah, traveling by air, and you pass by the miqat on the plane, do you have to go straight into the Umrah upon landing, or can you go to the hotel, take a shower, so on and so forth? You don't have to go right into the Umrah. If you land in Jeddah, you catch a cab to Mecca, for argument's sake, that may be a little outdated. Last time I did it like that many years ago. Direct flights, trains, etc., so on and so forth. For argument's sake, you're coming from the United States, going to perform Umrah. You're going to pass by the miqat in the air. You have to be in the state, and obviously your clothes, your fingernails, your hair, etc., all of those things have to be abided by in air. Upon landing, you don't have to go straight into the Umrah. If you want to lay down, take a nap. If you wanted to take another shower, if you wanted to eat some food, if you wanted to buy some sandals, if you were waiting for a brother to come, or your wife's in the hotel room taking too long, or whatever the case may be, it's lawful. But if you're going to take another shower, be mindful of what you use, of shampoo and soap and oils. Some brothers, mashallah, they get very exotic. You go into their bathroom in their house, they have a whole rack of bath oils, crystals, this, that, mashallah. So you got to be mindful of that. Lavender, apricot, scrub, sea salt, you understand? Mediterranean, right? Hibiscus, right? Tea tree, tea oil, right? All types of exotic stuff, right? You know what I'm talking about. It's not, right? Okay? The crazy mixes, right? Yeah. So be mindful of what you want to use. If you're going to take a nap in a hotel, be mindful of not covering your face and your head. Be careful, stay away from that. So on and so forth.
So that's all while you at home.
Yes. So right now, when I get off the plane in Jeddah, I go to Mecca, I'm in the ihram clothes. Ain't no basketball shorts and one, none of that. You understand? You get my drift or not? Need I say it? The urban term for that? Hey, that tariqah, what we say, you birthday suiting it. All right? So you get to the hotel, you can relax, you can take a nap, you can eat dinner, you can do whatever you want to do, but just be mindful that you are in the ihram state. And if you go there with your wife, be mindful you don't lay down, take a nap, and Monopoly, right? You start off on Atlantic and you end up on what? On Baltic. Holding the hand, yani, it doesn't. I'm not saying that it's the same. If you have to accompany her, I wouldn't say it's absolute like affection and romance, but not in a hotel room. You understand? Not in the what? Not in the hotel room. Because next thing you know, yeah. Wallahu alam.
So if one was going for Umrah, and they didn't want to make ihram on this plane.
Next question.
For them to go to the miqat.
Faddal.
What is the ruling on giving dawah to the opposite gender, and can you show them how to pray, and what's the proper etiquette as well?
What is the ruling on giving dawah to the opposite gender? It's obligatory to give dawah to all genders. Everyone is called to Dar salam. All are called to Dar salam. But at the same time, you have to be mindful of yourself. You have to be mindful, yani, there are rules with regards to gender interaction. There are rules. There are rules with regards to dealing with the same gender. You can't look at another man's private part or touch another man's private part or be under the same cover, except there are rules, let alone with the opposite sex. So therefore, if it's someone that you work with, or for argument's sake, as a friend, for argument's sake, or family, whatever, just be mindful that she is a woman. All women have charm. From the tallest, shortest, etc. One side of the scale to the what? To the next. Heaviest, lightest, darkest, all women have charm. Right? Woman is a fitna. End of discussion. So you have to be mindful and careful of dealing with the opposite sex. Remain professional, sincere, keep your distance, your boundaries, and respectful. Wallahu alam.
If one goes to Mecca and going to Jeddah, does he have to make Umrah or he can just go as a traveler?
You can't pass by the miqat unless you go into ihram. Period. If you want to go to Mecca just to visit without Hajj and Umrah, you have to make sure that you have the sincere intention just to visit and not trying to
For business.
outflank the rules. Huh? But for argument's sake, if you're just going there for business, some scholars say you're allowed to enter Mecca without ihram. And obviously, what other scholars say is another view, that the person can't go there, period. Next question.
And this was, online?
Doesn't matter.
And this was AJ from Cincinnati, Ohio. Assalamu alaikum. What is the ruling on putting the mushaf on the ground in the masjid?
What is the ruling on putting the mushaf on the ground in the masjid? A blanket answer won't help if you ask me. It's absolutely haram. It's absolutely halal. There's a difference between the mushaf being placed on the floor when you're sitting down in front of it versus you standing up and walking. There's a difference between the mushaf being placed on the floor in the masjid in a Quran circle, a class, for argument's sake, versus it just being there. So of course the Quran, the mushaf should be given the utmost respect. End of discussion. Utmost respect. But that doesn't mean that if you're sitting down, you can't place it down on a clean, safe, respectable place in front of you, versus it being disrespected and desecrated, which is kufr akbar. So it should be avoided. But for argument's sake, I don't think any person with a sound mind is going to differ on the difference between here in front of you versus kids running around. So on is, all right, is a difference. Wallahu ta'ala alam. And of course, the best thing to do and the safest thing to do and the most respectful thing to do is never allow it to be placed upon the floor. Period. Wallahu alam. However, there are different circumstances and situations. Wallahu alam.
And this was TA from Bronx, New York. Is it a bid'ah to give a short reminder during the break during Tarawih prayer and do it every night?
Is it a bid'ah to do a brief talk between the raka'at of Tarawih and to do it every night? Teaching the people, reminding the people, advising the people is proven in the Quran and Sunnah. So it's not a bid'ah to teach and to remind and to give dawah. Unless you do it in a specific way that you believe is the specific way and a specific reward, and it becomes formal and it cannot be broken or done another way, then perhaps we say what? Perhaps it could be best to avoid. To say it's a bid'ah, yani the whole concept of Tarawih is the plural of tarwiha. The Tarawih, many of the Salaf, they would drink water, whether it was between the raka'at, and some say what? Tarawih means to take a break. So they took breaks, they took breaks, they took breaks, they took breaks. All right? That's what the word means, Tarawih. So if the people are taking a break, and it's an opportunity to share some beneficial knowledge with them, some beneficial information with them, khairan. But it doesn't always have to be the same way every night. It doesn't have to be done formally, in which the people think and feel it has to be done like this. For argument's sake, you give a small reminder before Tarawih, after Isha. And one night you give a reminder after Tarawih. And one night you give a reminder after the 4, after the 2. Ala hasab. Depending on the situation, right? Formless, nah? You put it in a teapot, it what? Becomes the teapot, right? Water is formless. It takes the shape, it adopts the shape of its receptacle, of its container, of its vessel. So one of the problems with people is this is bid'ah, this isn't a bid'ah, is people doing it the same way every single time. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Fadal.
Is there we eat suhoor in the morning? Where's the best time to eat suhoor?
The best time to eat suhoor is the last moment possible. Ta'khir as-suhoor is waiting until you have just enough time. The suhoor shouldn't be taken in which is a ton of time. And there's so many reasons behind that. The later the suhoor, the closer it is to Fajr, the more barakah in the time. And obviously, the more mileage you put on that, bowl of the steel cut oats, or some brothers want to eat chicken and you know, dal and rice. No pun intended. You understand? No pun intended. You get the point I'm trying to make. Whatever you like to eat, watermelon and fried chicken, dal, rice, is okay. La haraj. Right? You get the point I'm trying to make. Fool and fasuria or whatever the case, fasa, whatever the case may be, the cultural dish. You get the point I'm trying to make. So everybody doesn't just have breakfast food for suhoor. That's what I'm trying to say, the joke. So therefore, you want to have more mileage on it the closer it is to when you have to stop eating. Versus taking suhoor an hour before Fajr, next thing you know, dang, I'm hungry. That chicken, I should have took another piece. The lamb, that beef was crazy. I need some more. But you, wallahu alam.
It's about suhoor also. Is it from piety to like just eat one date or just to drink a little bit of water?
Is it from piety to eat one date or one drink of water?
Meanwhile, you have a lot of food you can eat, but just say I'm going to suffice myself a bit.
Wakulu, washrabu. Eat and drink. Take Allah's bounty while you have it. There's no guarantee that it's going to remain. There's no guarantee that it's always going to be there. But for argument's sake, if you have become a renunciant and you have reached enlightenment through years of meditation, etc., seclusion, if you become that pious zahid and that's all you want and that's all that suffices you, alhamdulillah. But keep it real with yourself. Wallahu alam.
Initials NH, Assalamu alaikum Sheikh. Initials NH from London, UK. Assalamu alaikum Sheikh. Would it be considered slandering the scholars to say certain scholars are not free to discuss or express certain opinions?
Would it be considered slandering scholars to say that certain scholars aren't free to say what they want to say or say what they need to say or say what must be said? I don't think that's slandering of anybody. I think that's the bitter, hardcore reality. It's not a conspiracy theory, X-Files. It's not some, it's just well-known, documented stuff. He said this was haram. He was locked up without a key. He said that the Muslim rulers have abandoned this. He was locked up. The key was thrown away. It's well-known. And subhanAllah, we know that extremism begets more extremism. And a person, he tries to protect something so much, he tries to keep and uphold something so much that he falls into something worse. So let's look at this the equation now. Stay with me, Alameen. So right now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taken a covenant from the people of the book, those who have been given the book, the people of knowledge, to do what? To clarify, to make it clear to the men, to the people, right? All right, perfect. Over here, we find a million things going on in the world which clearly need to be what? Clarified and spoken on and discussed. A million problems in the world today. So if the scholar is here and all of the problems of the world are over here in abundance, and he's not saying we don't hear anything, silence, that is going to do what to this scholar? That's going to shine a very, very what? Negative light on him. Either he's unaware of the world, he's cowardly, he doesn't care. There's no good interpretation you can put. So by you acknowledging the reality that this scholar cannot speak freely, that is the least that you can do to make a reasonable what? An excuse on his behalf. Stay with me now. But for an overzealous fanatic to say, no, that's not true. The scholars are free to say what they want in this country. All right, bro, no problem. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wars, starvation, a million things are wrong. We don't hear no fatwas. You get the point I'm trying to make? So in actuality, the fanatical zealot is disrespecting the what? That scholar. Because he leaves no excuse for his silence. Everybody understand this? Now, somebody may say, well, he's still supposed to speak the truth. Even if he's going to get locked up, he can't be scared. But that's not as bad as what? You get the point? So shaitan tricks people. and they don't realize that they become worse than what they were actually trying to run away from. It makes sense or not? Wallahu alam.
Initials E8 from France.
Valencia. Tfaddal. Tfaddal.
I work in a transport company. Sometimes we are asked to work with companies who need to transport military and aeronautical products. Is it okay since I work in a Western country?
Nice ring. MashaAllah. Tayyip, is it okay since I work in a Western country? We've spoken on this many times before, on the reality of working and different, establishments that have things and products and services which are at best doubtful, let alone flat out haram. Whether it's food, pork, alcohol, interest, bombs, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, aeronautical, whatever the case may be. Allahul musta'an. Allahul musta'an. We've spoken this many times before. Living in this country, paying taxes in this country, huh? Fadda.
Now, the question related to the scholars not being able to speak on certain matters. If the questioner intends to ask, is it slander for a person to have an opinion to say that this scholar shouldn't be talking about these things because he doesn't have the qualifications to speak on these matters? Would that be considered slander against the scholar? Because I'm wondering if that's what the question is.
No, it's not slander. A person thinks and feels, as long as he's sincere, I don't think this person should be talking about this. He could be wrong himself. But if he honestly feels that, that's not slander. It doesn't mean that it's slanderous. Wallahu alam.
This is AY from London. Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Steps to take when making tawbah from missed fast.
Steps to take when making tawbah from his fast.
That was a Muslim but was heedless in the past.
Make tawbah. Make a sincere tawbah with all of its conditions and all of its trimmings, the recommended things of a good tawbah, period. Resolve, regret, determination, not being stuck in the past, moving forward, etc. Giving sadaqah, etc. Wallahu alam.
How would someone make up those fasts every day?
How would somebody make up the fast? Well, it depends how many fasts there were or are. Some scholars say that they shouldn't make up the fast. They should just make repentance and move forward. Wallahu alam. How many countries share a border with the Caspian Sea? Fazi.
I'm going to make a random guess.
5 countries?
I guess 7.
7, Hamza? Anybody else online? What countries are touched by the Caspian Sea? Either or. 10? In the back. Khan.
Quite a few.
Quite a few. Allahu Akbar. Tayyib. Next question. What you got? Russian Federation. All right. Tayyib. Somebody's on point. Somebody's on point. And that's a diplomatic answer too. MashaAllah. Allahu Akbar. The Russian Federation. Is there still such a thing as the Russian Federation? The Iron Curtain? But for sure that's a safe what? That's a safe answer. Well, some stand or something is what?
Is there.
That's a fact. All right. Tayyib. MashaAllah. Wisdom. What else?
Kazakhstan,
He said Kazakhstan. What else?
Russia, Iran,
Russia, Iran. What else?
Iran, Turkmenistan,
Turkmenistan,
Azerbaijan,
Azerbaijan,
Uzbekistan.
Tayyib, Russian Federation. MashaAllah.
Lepo,
MashaAllah.
Ski District, Russia, Allah.
Next question.
Next question is from online, initial YA. London, UK. Should you pray witr with the imam after Tarawih prayer or when you get home? What's better, do you think?
Salam. Make the witr at home or in the masjid. Maybe mix it up. One night do it with the imam, get the reward of praying with the imam, and maybe one night or some nights you pray at home with your family. The barakah of the witr at home with your family. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Faddal.
Can you listen to nasheeds during Ramadan?
Can you listen to a nasheed during Ramadan? As long as the nasheed is lawful, there's nothing wrong with it. If the nasheed is solid, if it's lawful, la bas. Faisal. Is there anything wrong with praying 20, 22, 23 rak'ah, etc.? The best thing to do is to make 11, inshallah ta'ala. Try your best to make 11, inshallah. You can't lose with what? With 11. Jazakallah khairan. Fadal.
If one doesn't pray witr with the imam, because they're praying 22 rak'ah, etc.
Next question. Wallahu ala kulli shay'in qadir.
And this was KA from Birmingham, UK. Assalamu alaikum mufti. If I took out a mortgage to buy the house I live in, will my Umrah still be valid while I'm paying off the mortgage?
Inshallah, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, the Umrah will be valid, inshallah. Obviously, there's a discussion concerning mortgage, traditional mortgages. Are they lawful? Absolutely. Are they haram? Absolutely. Are they lawful during certain times and instances? That in itself is a discussion that we've done and laid out in different workshops. The rulings on traditional mortgages in al-Islam for Muslim minorities. All right. For argument's sake, it's a haram mortgage. For argument's sake, the mortgage is haram. It's riba. For argument's sake. Does your umrah, will it be valid? Can it be accepted, inshallah, whilst paying the haram? You paying a haram mortgage doesn't have to spill over to your umrah. As long as you made your umrah with halal wealth correctly, sincerely, inshallah ta'ala. Wallahu alam. Hamza.
How do you explain to a non-Muslim if they ask you what is the Kaaba?
How do you explain to a non-Muslim if they ask you what the Kaaba is? You tell them what the Quran says. Baytullah, house of God. A place where the people pray towards. And they walk around and they seek the blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that location through that place without worshiping it. Wallahu alam.
If a kid has autism, is it obligatory for them to still fast?
Child suffers from autism. Do they still have to fast? Depends on the autism. There are different types, different levels. What's important is they're required to follow the Islamic rules based off of their mind and their intellect. What they have, 70%, 75%, half the day, according to their ability. Wallahu alam. Brian.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Peace. Wa alaikum salam.
Visiting one of your parents at the.
Did you make 2 rak'ah before you came in? I didn't see you. Come back. Make your wudu. Abdul Wadud. Go make your wudu right now. We know that. Make 2. Next question from online.
Initials.
Faisal, don't lend your ear to no button. All right? That's how we treat sucker MCs, huh? Yeah. That's the sunnah of what? A sucker MC. That's right, Amo? Right or wrong? That's how you never take your foot off his neck. That's a qaida. Never. Because the moment you take your foot off his neck, he'll get up and he'll get you. We know that from Brian. Don't take pity upon him. The Quran says what? لا تأخذكم بهما رأفة في دين الله. Don't take pity upon them. Further, from online.
Initials JJ from Buffalo, New York. Is it true that the punishment for zina from who married is death? What is the evidence?
In the Islamic legislature, one who marries, and then they make adultery, they commit zina after marriage, they are to be and stoned and flogged. And the proof for that is the Quran and the Sunnah. Next question.
Is there any salah after Salat al-Witr? Can you pray anything?
Witr should be the cherry on the cake, the icing on the cake. Should be the crown jewel of your crown. Wallahu alam. Abu Mir. Sergio Ticini, mashallah.
Non-Muslim when take the Shahada, but can they follow behind? Question was asked. Can they follow behind the Imam online? Give a Shahada to someone else and recite that?
Can somebody take the Shahada online following somebody? Inshallah. Bidnillah, yes.
Initials HG from Fontana, California. What is considered below the ankle? Is it below the top of the ankle or below the bottom of the ankle? What if my pants cover my ankle but don't go beneath it?
What's considered beneath the ankle? Anything that falls under the ball of the ankle. And obviously that is the least. That's the lowest that it can go. And the highest that it should be, azratul mu'min ila nisfi saqay, or ila nisfi saqayn. Should be at the shanks. That's recommended. And if not, then at least above the balls of the ankles. It's very simple, easy, no complication needed. Covering above anything over the ball of the ankle is isbal. Isbal in itself is pride. Wallahu la yuhibbul makhila. The hadith states, and Allah doesn't love pride. Wallahu alam.
Initials AA from Vancouver, Canada. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Question about the ring of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What type of ring did he wear in the hadith? It says Abyssinian ring, but I don't know what that is.
Tayyib. Jazakallahu khairan. What type of ring did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam wear? It says Abyssinian ring. I don't know what that is. In general, to summarize things, the material of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's ring was silver. Step one. Step two. The Prophet ﷺ, the ring was either all silver or it had a stone. And if it had a stone, then the stone was a dark colored stone. Many scholars, they say that it was agate, al-aqiq. Right? Agate stone, whether it was from Abyssinia, whether it was from Yemen, or whether it was a dark colored stone. Scholars as well, they differ and they have different arguments on which of the two hands the ring should be worn. And before we get to which hand is worn, the next summarized point is that it's on the pinky finger or the smallest finger. Not the ring finger, not the middle finger, not the index, nor the thumb. So for sure it's going to be on the pinky, one of the pinkies. The last and final step, and of course there are more points we can summarize. Did the Prophet ﷺ's ring have, was it a signet ring? Was it used as a stamp? Was it turned over for him to press upon letters like this? Or was the stone facing upwards? Those are points as well. What's important is he wore it on his pinky, his smallest finger, alayhi salatu wasalam. Whether it was the left or the right. Different views concerning that. So that's a basic summary of the rulings of the Prophet's ring and the rulings of men wearing rings in Islam. Of course, it doesn't mean it's haram to have a ring on your ring finger. It doesn't mean that it has to be silver if it's not solid gold, whether it's brass. The ring could be made from other precious gems or stones, etc. Metals, etc. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
YA, London, UK. I heard from someone that the Prophet ﷺ combined Maghrib and Isha without a reason such as rain or traveling. Is this true? And can you give the best way to praise Allah in our dua?
Is it true that the Prophet ﷺ combined Maghrib and Isha without traveling, without rain, without fear, without sickness, etc.? Yes, that's true. And inshallah ta'ala, you yourself can read these authentic reports. And this is one of the advantages of reading the books of hadith, as we always say. Reading the books of hadith, you yourself, you don't know the explanation, you don't know the interpretation, but at least you have yourself read it yourself. I know for sure I read it in an authentic source. The interpretation of it, the madhabs, Fulan, Ibn Abbas, I don't know, but I know at least that I what? I read it. Versus, is it true or not? So that's a fa'idah in itself. All right? So yes, that's factual. Why and how, the fiqh of combining the prayers, that's another discussion. That's not a part of the question. What's the best way of praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your du'as? Make the prophetic du'as. Make the prophetic du'as. You don't have to make up your own du'as. You don't have to mix and match du'as. Learn the authentic du'as that the Prophet ﷺ would say at night, in the morning, in his ruku', in the sujood, so on and so forth. Subhanaka la uhsi thana'an alayk. Right? Anta kama athnayta ala nafsika. Allahumma ghfir li khati'ati. Many hadiths, the Prophet ﷺ would praise Allah and laud Allah and seek things from Allah, especially in the night prayer. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
This is YA from Birmingham, UK. Is it permissible to get food delivered on food delivery apps like Uber Eats? Are the transaction fees considered to be riba? Barakallahu feek.
Fikum barakallah. Is it permissible to order foods on Uber Eats? Are the transaction fees riba? A transaction fee, a processing fee, for argument's sake, an exchange rate, whatever the case may be, Western Union, MoneyGram, whatever, different wired services. It doesn't have to be riba, but it's a fee that they charge you for the service, for the ease, and for the convenience. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Muhammad.
Sheikh, today at the end of the khutbah you said, you made dua that Allah have, punish those who are harming the Muslim, sort of like paraphrasing what you say, something similar to that. So, is it okay for us to make dua against people who have, or who are hurting Muslim, whether they are Muslim or not, and in a Muslim country, for example,
Clear.
People in power, they're hurting people with their decisions and actions.
Clear. Is it permissible to make dua against Muslims who are committing wrong, dhulm, harming others, starving, killing, turning a blind eye to what is happening to our brothers and sisters in Gaza and Jenin, other parts of the occupied West Bank, other countries as well? And we always repeat this, if you pay attention. We always repeat this. Our hearts go out to our brothers and sisters, our Muslim brothers and sisters in Palestine. No doubt about that. Masjid al-Aqsa and that blessed land, our hearts go out. But suffering of Muslims isn't restricted just to one location. It's not restricted just to Syria. It's not restricted just to one race or one land. Anywhere Muslims are suffering, black, yellow, white, green, orange, purple, Muslim is supposed to feel sympathy for them, compassion for them, and try to remove them from that suffering by Allah's permission. And it isn't just an Arab thing. I quote and I repeat this because this is a dangerous trick of the shaitan, in which the money is raised, funds are raised, consciousness is only brought up for one race. And there are parallels of this in history. Not to open too much or too big of a can of worms. However, one of the heroes and one of the champions of civil rights and civil rights movement and revolutions and freedom from oppression and the colonizing powers was Mohandas Gandhi. And there are many people from America, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., etc., who are disciples and learners of Gandhi and his great legacy. But if you read Gandhi, read about his life, read his statements, Gandhi was a filthy racist. And he was not against racism. He was not against oppression. He was not against tyranny. He was only against racism, prejudice, and tyranny against Indian Hindus. That's it. So if you weren't Indian, he didn't care how the British treated you. And if you weren't a Hindu as well, he really didn't care. He wasn't against dhulm. He was only against dhulm being done to what? His people. Think about that now. So if you're a Muslim Indian, or if you have another type of religion or faith, or if you're colored or mixed or quadroon or eighth, 10th, whatever, he not only didn't care about how the British treated those other inferior races, but you read some of his statements in which he encouraged for the British to stomp on them even more for more advancement of the Hindu Indians. So many people today, when they talk about Palestine, I'm not talking about nobody specifically, so nobody get upset, but just talking in general. It seems, wallahu alam, that they only care about Palestine and Syria, and that's it. And the raising of the money, the speaking up against it, it only starts and stops there, and that's it. And there are other parts of the world in which Muslims, Arabs and non-Arabs, have and are suffering. Is Palestine special? For sure. We've said this before. If there was no other virtue except for Masjid al-Aqsa, that would be enough to make the Palestinian problem unique in a class by itself. However, there are many Muslims. And from the harms or from the examples of this is Iraq. Many non-Muslims, they say, you guys, you raise money, you protest, you demand this from your politicians, you boycott your politicians. But when they bombed Iraq in the Gulf War, and then after the Gulf War, how long did they bomb Iraq? They murdered millions of Iraqis. What did you say? You said nothing. Afghanistan, you said what? Nothing. Let alone in the dark continent of Africa. They're savages. That's what they deserve. People say things like this. It's a reality. So oftentimes people, they stand up only for when it's convenient for them. But the other inferior races, that's their problem. That's, and we can't be like that as Muslims. If somebody's starving in Palestine, it's supposed to hurt me as a Muslim. If someone is starving in Sudan, it's supposed to hurt me as a Muslim. If Muslims are being tortured and persecuted in Afghanistan, it's supposed to hurt me as a Muslim. As long as they're Muslims, it's not about race, but it's supposed to be about faith. And as I said in the khutbah earlier, the non-Muslims understand the power of race and nationalism. They understand the power of this. And that's why they marginalize these conflicts with just races and borders instead of faith. And they know that it's a dangerous lid that will be blown off if it becomes a worldwide Islamic problem. Because there are Muslims everywhere from all races and walks of life. But if it's just an Arab problem, or an African problem, or Afghani Pashtun problem, then they can box you off and cut you off from help. Right? So we need to be careful concerning this. And I don't want to spoil you no more stuff. If you guys didn't know about Gandhi, I'm not going to share some of his crazy statements that he made about other races, especially about the black savages, right? Allahul Mustaan, you'd be shocked. And you ask yourself, how in the world is this man even looked up to? And the same applies to all of these people. Abraham Lincoln. Many foolish people from our people, they think Abraham Lincoln, he was a champion for black people. The Emancipation Proclamation, da 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 da. Abraham Lincoln was extremely racist against black people. And if you read his political debates and where he said they should go and they should be sent, you'd be shocked. And most of these supposed civil rights heroes, they themselves are extremely prejudiced and racist against others. But they have a specific goal and agenda. Be careful. Wallahu alam. Arif.
Supposedly you make the Sunnah, come with the masjid, but some other brother came and joined you as a
Fard.
So at that time, will you raise your voice to give Allahu Akbar?
Inshallah. Raising your voice saying Allahu Akbar, it's not haram, it's not disliked, it's not something which you can't do. It's recommended when it's a silent prayer to be silent, but it's not haram to do. And if you have to say it a little louder because someone is following you, different story. La ba's, inshallah. Wallahu alam. تفضل شيخنا. لا نسأل أنتم تسألون هذا أنت قلبت السند يا شيخ. لا مقلوب. صحيح. لا لا.
مثلا مساء الجمعة في رمضان الدعاء كيف؟
دعاء في ايش؟
مساء الجمعة.
أنا فهمت هذا بس أي دعاء يعني. ليس هناك تخصيص. هذا شيء آخر. أنا حسبت يعني تقصد تخصيص. الناس يخصصون هذا طبعا محدث. أما ساعة الإجابة فكما هو معروف عندكم هذا في أقوال كثيرة جدا. لعل أقرب شيء والله تعالى أعلم من حين يصعد الإمام إلى أن تقضى الصلاة. وإن لم يكن هذا القول هو أرجح الأقوال لعله آخر ساعة من يوم الجمعة قبل الغروب، يعني بالخلاصة كما لا يخفى عليكم. يعني شرحنا هذا لهم، ساعة الإجابة، أهميتها، فضلها، وبعض الأقوال التي يعني قيلت فيها، يعني هل هي من الصبح، هل ساعة الإجابة. The question is regarding the golden hour, the hour of ultimate response, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responds to any dua. No dua is rejected during the Jumu'ah. Obviously, we've spoken on this before, the importance and the virtue of Sa'atul Ijaba. And the scholars of Islam differ on exactly when Sa'atul Ijaba is. When does it start? From Fajr, before Jumu'ah, during Jumu'ah, until Jumu'ah is finished, before Asr, after Asr, until before Maghrib, etc. What's important is similar to Laylatul Qadr. The Prophet ﷺ said Laylatul Qadr has been taken away and perhaps it's best for you. So try your best, work hard, strive, minimize speaking, laughing, joking, playing from the beginning of Jumu'ah until the very last hour. And bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, you'll catch that hour one way or another, like you're making Etiquette during all 10 of the last nights. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Faddal, please repeat the question. Can you make dua against Muslims who are harming Muslims? Yes, you can, even if they're Muslim. Wallahu alam. Faddal. If you're in front of the Prophet ﷺ's grave and you give him the salams, will he see you? I don't know of any verse in the Quran, any hadith proving that the Prophet ﷺ will see you standing in front of his grave. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Khair inshallah. Faddal, Dawood.
How serious should you take your dreams on? Like, I know they say unless you see the Prophet, that's how you know that's really it. But how serious should you take your dreams and interpret them?
How seriously should a person take his dreams and interpret them? This is our last question tonight before we stop. Dreams are very important in the life of the Muslim, in everybody's life. But in the life of the Muslim, dreams are significant, they have significance. And of course, there is an interpretation of dreams in Islam, as we learned from the story of Yusuf, alayhi salatu wasalam, and other Quranic passages as well, but specifically the story of Yusuf. So therefore, how to understand dreams, how to interpret them, how they interpret it, that's something that you have to study and learn. There's a science to dream interpretation in Islam and outside of Islam. Sometimes it's parallel, sometimes it's a world of a difference. So seeing a dream is going to be of one of three types. A dream which is true and real, significant, which has a good or whatever interpretation. A dream that is leftover thoughts, leftover feelings, fantasies. Your subconscious comes out in your dream. And of course, there are dreams that are from the devil, the big Satan, to cause you sadness, to cause you grief, and to cause you the sadness and depression and anxiety. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. Subhanakallahumma hamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk wa jazakumullahu khairan.